How's it going?
Is this it? We're going?
Yeah, boy. How's
Nice.
it going?
It's good. Haven't spoken to you in a month. We haven't at all spoken
Oh,
in
shit.
private.
Is that, has it been a month since our last episode?
I think so. It's been a month or 3 weeks. Who knows? Time doesn't really exist, does it? We just keep kind of like swirling the drain.
Yeah, true. We swell the drain until one day we sink. We should probably point out, we're probably not going to do this every week because it turns out not good shit comes out every week, and also every 2 weeks clearly not good shit came out in every 2 weeks either. So we're just going to upload whenever we enjoy ourselves or do not enjoy ourselves when a new piece of big media comes out. So anyway, catch us next time in December when Avatar 2 comes out.
I was going to say, keep your eyes peeled for late October when Black Adam graces cinemas.
For fuck's sake. No. I forgot that exists. When does Shazam 2 come out?
I don't know. They fucking moved it. It was meant to be Christmas, but then they don't have enough money to put out a movie, so they had to move it again.
Well, no, they have enough money to make a movie. They have enough money to get it right the way to the finish line. They just don't have enough brain power to put it in the cinema.
No, they have to prioritize Dwayne Johnson's Black Adam and Aquaman. Actually, no, I'm not even sure if Aquaman 2 is coming this year. They might move that as well. Shit. God damn.
Wait, Aquaman 2 isn't out?
No.
Oh my god. I thought that came out like ages ago. Is that not? That's finished though, isn't it?
I guess so. And they've been making it for a while.
I thought it had like Amber Heard in it and that wasn't allowed, but now it is allowed, but now it's kind of only half allowed.
Yeah, I think she's like in it, but a bit.
Humans are nuanced and no one will ever understand the details of the court proceedings except for the people involved. Huge. Well, we'll see. I'm looking forward to Aquaman 2. I'm sure that would go great with zero context of the first movie I haven't seen. Okay. Well, we jumped straight into the release dates of things, and I almost forgot that we have a format for this. So, George, what have you been watching this week?
This week,
this month.
I was going to say, since the last one, I've watched about 50 different movies. But no, let me run through some things. I watched Bodies, 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 the kind of like Gen Z satire horror movie, which was really fun. I was kind of expecting it to just be like a, fun, whatever movie, but it was actually really good. I enjoyed it a lot.
And it wasn't a cringe fest as
no.
As a Gen Z / millennial / kind of vaguely Gen Z tendrils are touching us. It didn't make you look at your own age group and go,
well, it's like, it did a bit, but it's also a case, it's a very specific type of Gen Z, that kind of like, that like privileged American sphere of people and those archetypes. But it is quite funny in like how it breaks down those kind of people. And there's this fantastic scene where it really leans into that satire and like the modern language in a way where all the characters themselves are taking it very seriously. But it's incredibly funny how seriously they're taking all of it, like when it comes out to what they're talking about.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was really good. I'd recommend that to like pretty much anyone. Cool. I watched The Woman King, which was, I thought, fine. I was a bit annoyed because I was watching the movie and thinking, like, I feel like this could have been way better. Like, the script could have been made into a better movie if it was just, wrangled in a bit tighter. Some of the action was a bit cleaner. I watched the movie and I just kind of assumed, I didn't know anything about it going in. I assumed it was a very, like, early filmmaker, like their first or maybe second movie. But it turns out they've just made a ton of stuff, including... what's the movie called? It's like the Netflix action movie with Charlize Theron, where everything I know about it is it's like surprisingly okay. It's like the praise it got.
I feel like we looked at this the other day and everything. I cannot.
Yeah, we did, and I've already forgotten it. But yeah, that was that. Yeah, so the movie was like good, but I wish it was better. Lashana Lynch, who was I can't remember the character's name now in No Time to Die, but the Bond replacement character. She's just she's amazing. She's a really good actress. She was really good in this movie.
Cool.
The only other thing I'd talk about is Avatar. Because they re-released it because James Cameron gets a fucking hard-on from making sure we have to sit through 3D movies in the cinema, which I did. And I enjoyed the movie. It was probably the first time in like a decade I'd seen it. And it does kind of live up to the memory of it just being that spectacular visual, good sci-fi, all that shit, with a nice insert plug-in dumb as shit protagonist to take you along on the journey. But there is a reason that we as a society decided to throw away the 3D glasses. Those fucking things that are too small for anyone's head and slightly press against your head, but not enough for you to like really complain. It's just enough for you to accept and put up with for 3 hours.
Yeah.
And it made me sleepy. I'm not one to fall asleep in the cinema, but I came damn close.
Yeah. Well, it's just really dim. It's like sitting in a room with sunglasses on with all the lights on.
Yeah.
Yeah, weird. I do have a question about that actually. So, because it's like what, remastered or something, rejiggied.
Yeah, I think it's like high resolution.
Look any better?
So I was wondering this because when I left the movie, I realized that there wasn't a single time when I was watching it where I thought, "Oh, that's a bit dodgy," or "That hasn't aged well." They all looked fine, and I didn't know they were going to do this. They did like a little. In the middle of the credits, they did a short preview thing for the next one, where a little title card came up that said like, "And now a taste of things to come," whatever. And it looks better, the new movie. It was this little scene just in the ocean. But it wasn't like as big a leap as I would have assumed 1 to 2 would have been, considering it's 13 years.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if they have touched up the actual effects of the movie in some way, like the original movie.
Yeah. I mean, because it was so good when it came out, though, right? There wasn't.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that anyone ever questioned or whatever was the like weird when you do the live action stuff mixed with the 3D stuff. So like, I'm particularly thinking like the big mech suit moment is the only one that I remember standing out, and I don't even think it would look bad or anything like that. It was just like they lent into the stylized like sci-fi grossness as far as I remember. So maybe it's just a really fucking good looking movie. I have no idea.
The only parts I can think of that look a bit odd, it's not even like that where it's the big CG element mixed with live action. Like if you have Neytiri at the end holding Jake Sully, main character Jake Sully, where she's like her 10-foot tall self and he's little 5-foot whatever person. I don't remember that standing out to me. The one bit that did, well, I guess the 2 bits because it's the same effect, is when they bring the human people to the big tree where they like lay them down. And that was a thing where, I don't know if it was just the green screen or whatever, but like Sigourney Weaver's face in this entirely digital background and this like big close up. I remember that being a little bit like there's some kind of that Vaseline effect or whatever, where it just looks not quite right. But yeah, in terms of the actual like fully digital elements like the Na'vi, things like that, there wasn't a single hiccup, I thought.
Cool. Yeah, who knows? I mean, because obviously so much tech has gone into the new ones. This is like other than the fact that no one gave a fuck about Avatar, really. Like that was the reason why it's taken this long to get out these movies. So I don't know. Maybe they did just come out, but I almost feel like what you just said about like the gap between the two. You almost don't want them to redo it up so that you can see when they put the teaser next to it. But then I don't know. It's like because you simultaneously have this thing of like if the whole movie's about spectacle, that's the point. You want to make it like awesome when they see the trailer at the end and be like, wow, shit, look how far we've come in the last like whatever years. I understand why it's taken this long. But then equally you have this thing of like James Cameron is like wanky as hell and wants it to be like one cohesive whole story and we're supposed to actually care about them and stuff. So like, I don't know, maybe not. maybe we're not supposed to see them as a technological leap. We're just supposed to see them as one thing. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Damn.
Actually, I know for a fact, well, not for a fact, but like 99% sure they did change something in the movie. Because I remember Googling it after I left the cinema, and other people were saying the same thing. Whereas like a Mandela effect, where everyone makes fun of the weird tail shit that the Na'vi have. They like plug it into everything. And I thought I remembered the scene. They have like the sex scene with Jig, Sully, and Natiri, where they like put their hair together, and it like really awkwardly recontextualizes everything. Where he's been shoving his hair dick into all these animals and plants and all this for the whole movie.
Yeah.
In this version I saw, there was no hair shit between the two of them. It's just them like awkwardly like bumping against each other and making out. And then it obviously just like fades to white, and then it cuts to the morning after. Yeah, exactly. But I've seen other people also saying they remember them shoving their hair into each other and how fucking weird it is.
I remember that as well.
Yeah, okay.
We'll have to go back. I'll have to pull out the fucking DVD. My goodness. Oh no. Maybe that's not a thing. No, it must be a thing.
Can you imagine if it wasn't? Just thousands of us have had this shared delusion where we imagine them having hair sex with each other.
Is it weird to just go on YouTube right now and just look up Avatar sex scene? Avatar. So is this weird? Anyone watching, mate? At least this is documented. That I found a video called Avatar Sex, in all lowercase, from 2010. So this is legit. Yeah, they're touching hair. They're touching tips.
Yeah. Okay, so that wasn't in this one.
Wait, but it like wraps. They're not like. We are mated for life. Okay, yeah. So it's like they're in the purple shit. I'm just describing what I see because we can't show clips. They're in the purple shit. Ooh, can you feel the love? And then they lift up their hairs, and then the hairs bond, and then they both go, and then it's like furry for a second, and then they look into each other's eyes, and then they do the making out.
I mean, I understand and support the change in terms of logic, because literally 10 seconds before this make out sex scene, they're putting their hair tails on the whatever's fallen off of the tree, because it's like you can hear your ancestor, or you hear Na'vi ancestors. It's the idea, again, it recontextualizes it. You've just stuck your dick in this tree to hear a bunch of people who are dead. I understand that. But in terms of the washing of history and
I think it's going against your own integrity. I think they should have left it, because personally, if you write something that fucking strange into your script, like, you got to deal with the fact that that's in your movie. You can't just George Lucas it out. Like, come on now. Yeah. I think it's them touching souls together and mating for life in terms of their souls. Like, I would have changed the line from mating to like, now we are one or something, you know? I don't fucking know. Cool. Avatar. So glad we're back. Looking forward to killing myself because I can't go to
I was thinking about that. I in the movie, I was thinking like, oh my God, I forgot there were people who legit killed themselves because Pandora wasn't real and the Na'vi weren't real. I was thinking like, do filmmakers use that as the benchmark now? Where they're like, I want to make a movie that's so good that I avatar people.
It's a verb. Oh my gosh. Yeah, you make a fantasy film, and if it isn't perfect, you haven't avatared them. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
what else?
I wouldn't say, well, that's the last thing really. I was just going to say that I'm not sure I'm any more anticipating the new one, Avatar 2. Like, I knew I was going to watch it anyway. Everyone's going to go and see it anyway. But it was nice to relive 2009. If only for 3 hours.
Good. I'm glad. I haven't watched shit. I've watched only the mandated recommended reading of this podcast, and that's all I've watched. So let's swing nicely into the one piece of news that we have found of any worth in the last 2 weeks. And that is that Marvel, well, not Marvel, it's Ryan Reynolds specifically, has announced a third Deadpool movie, officially announced, starring none other than Hugh Jackman as Wolverine once more. Sheer indifference is what comes to my mind. How are you feeling? Are you shook right now?
No, I saw the news on my phone last night. I was getting ready for bed, and I saw, I think I saw like Wolverine was trending or some shit. I check it out, and it's fucking this video that Ryan Reynolds posts, and it's about how they got no ideas for. The thing is that this is what pissed me off. It's not done in this like self-aware thing where they're like, we have absolutely zero ideas, so let's just rely on nostalgia. It's just kind of waved away as, oh, we have one idea for the movie. And there's like the whole point of the character is how like self-aware Deadpool's meant to be and how it takes the piss out of this stuff. But now it's just like completely unironically doing this, where it is just feeding off of character we know people like. Let's plug him in and put him on screen, and we know we'll make $1 billion no matter what. It just it's like, fuck's sake.
Pretty much. I mean, but you got to remember, like, what other projects of worth are Marvel making right now? Like, what other heroes do they even have? Probably like they don't have Doctor Strange because they just did him. That'll be a while. Out of action.
Did you see that?
Oh, he's dead as well. I forgot about that. What?
No, he's not dead. Oh,
yeah, he dies.
Yeah, Wolverine. What?
Yeah, I don't know. Doctor Strange dies. Do you remember? And then he comes back, and then he's got like an extra eye. And then I'm going to make another movie with him with an extra eye. That's disgusting. I don't want to see that shit. Who else have you got? I don't even know who else you got.
I was going to say, are you not excited for the Thunderbolts movie? Do you know what that is?
No.
Okay. It's like a bunch of secondary characters that make this like shitty bad guy Avengers. It's like meant to be their Suicide Squad. So like Bucky, I think, is the leader, and it's got I'm not gonna be able to name all of them. It's just like the bad or the villain from Ant-Man 2. You excited to see them again?
Yeah, you really sold this one, man. Yes. Fuck. This is what I'm talking about. So the only thing of worth that they're putting out in the next, like, I don't know, that was announced and it was like 2024, end of 2024 or something, which is like, what? Yeah. Why even bother? Just give us a trailer or something, or I don't know. Why fucking bother? Yeah. And so I said this was the one like worthy piece of news. It's not even that worthy. It's just the only one of any kind of social relevance at all. Yeah. So we got a couple of things we want to talk about today. So we want to talk about Rings of Power because it's still ongoing and neither of us are sure it's good yet. And then we also want to talk Andor because that's new. And we were kind of teasing that we were interested in it for a long time. And now it's a thing and we actually can talk about it. But before we do that, new cast member enters House of the Dragon and he's our favorite man's son. Tell me about it. I don't, House of the Dragon, is that what it's called? Yeah.
Yes.
This is how much I don't know this show that I don't even know the name. How's it going? Is it good still?
Yeah, still a good show. This last episode, this episode 6 with Ty Tennant, I'd say was probably the weakest of the series so far. But that's because it's basically, they've had to do split the season in 2, basically. So this episode was kind of like a repilot in a way. There's a huge time jump and they have to reestablish lots of stuff and things like that. So it's a bit slower. Yeah, still great. Still filled with lots of fun, nice characters that you just get. And they've got a great motivation and characterization behind him. Lots and lots of really good performances. Matt Smith still killing it. Paddy Considine, by the way, I don't think I talked about him when I talked about the show last time. He's what would you know him from? Oh, he was in like Edgar Wright movies. So he's like
He's one of the Andes, is he?
Yeah. He's like fucking so good in this show as the king, where he's this amazing character. I think I've said this point before of how you have like these like characters that aren't really in other things. Like they don't fit a kind of archetype.
Yeah.
He's one of these where his character is just like a regular kind of good dude, but he's a king and he's fucking awful at being king. Because he's just trying to make sure everyone's happy and nice, and like no one's happy ever because of it. And he's just like slowly withering away the whole time and watching everyone just circle around him until he's fucking dead.
Yeah.
So yeah, really good still. Ty Tennant, he's pretty good in this episode. He plays a little shit pretty well. One of his first scenes, it just cuts to him as a teenage boy standing over the city he may inherit one day, just like spanking it, just like full homelandering outside a window. So that was pretty funny. But yeah, I'm not sure if there are any words that would get me to convince you to watch it, other than those, I guess. David Tennant's son shows up.
Yeah, I mean, that was like nearly enough. Maybe something like, I don't know, something catastrophic has to happen, or something like excellent, Like I need to watch it for like research purposes, not for enjoyment. Just because I don't think I'll be able to force my brain to do it. Although I am really getting into, I've got myself a Chromecast now. Instead of, because I used to use my PS4 to watch everything on the TV, but now I've got a Chromecast. And so like I'm in that like honeymoon stage where just everything feels like I'm watching something on a new device. So, that's perfect time to just be watching just whatever. But then again, I suppose it's HBO. Where does it come out here? Now TV?
Yeah, Now TV.
Yeah, see, that's crossing the line. Nah,
the
maybe I won't catch it. Actually, Now TV does come out with some like absolute bargain great stuff. Do you remember we like subbed collectively, me and you subbed for like ages because it was like good, and then they had a bunch of old westerns and shit.
Well, yeah, we subscribed in February 2020 to watch Westworld, and then COVID conspired to have you never watch the rest of it.
Yeah, although maybe that worked out for the best, right? Because it got worse, didn't it? Yeah,
it's true. Apparently, this last season, number 4, is apparently good again. But fuck me if I'm going to watch season 2 and 3 to get to some all right stuff. I'll just listen to the soundtrack.
Yeah, true. Love my boy Ramin Djawadi. Okay. So that's that covered off. Other fantasy series, Rings of Power. So this most recent episode, remind me what happened, because it was the first one that stuff actually happened in, right?
Yeah. So Harfoots, not much happened.
Yeah, they walk a bit.
Yeah, they walk. Yeah, but this is okay. So the Harfoots, I don't understand, because in the third episode, they have their whole thing when they're meeting. They're like, "We'll remember the people that fell behind and didn't make it the last walk." Oh, you two, we're gonna make you walk at the back, and if you die, get fucked. And then in this new episode, Lenny Henry's like, "Oh, what if they fall behind and die?" It's like, motherfucker, you're the person who put them in that position. What are you talking about? He is like King Viserys. He's like, except for he's like a bad version where he pretends to care about them when really he seals their death to themselves. I was quite confused on that. Do you have any Harfoot thoughts?
I mean, I don't know. They get out of the pickle by having big man with beard who can do the pushing for them, which is a little bit non-traditional, and I think Lenny Henry should have kicked him out of the tribe, but that is beyond the point. But we still don't know who Beardy Man is. There's like been not so subtle implications of his relevance later in the plot, through dialogue, but we've not been given like he is good or he is bad or he is the chosen one who will be corrupted, good or bad, by the end of this season. We just kind of guess all of these things, and I don't think that's bad, because we should be actively trying to learn and trying to figure that out. But what I'm finding is that they're just not trickling us anything. Like it's not like we're learning little things. It's like we're just not learning. We just don't know who the fuck this character is. And
it seems to me, it seems like it's built towards people who are like properly into the Silmarillion and the people who've read all the extended, all the other books and things like that. And it seems like there'd be stuff there they'd be able to latch onto. But yeah, as someone who is only familiar with the films and has passing memory of the recent games, which the Palantir, by the way, showing up put a huge fucking smile on my face. It gave me, again, just another North memory.
Yeah.
I have very little to cling on to. I saw something where apparently we're meant to think he is a character that we know from the movies. But yeah, I think I wasn't fully aware of what I was meant to be latching onto. I wasn't aware that he was meant to be a character that I'm meant to be guessing who it is in terms of someone that we already know. I'm just waiting to find out what his deal is. Not that it's a deal that I already know, it turns out. Yeah,
it's not like we're figuring, we're just waiting to learn. And that's like a bad thing to be doing, in my opinion. I do like, so I actually, in the time between the last episode of this and this one, I didn't read the Silmarillion because it's fucking long and there's like 9 parts to it, and one of them is twice the length of all the fucking Lord of the Rings books combined or something stupid like that. So I didn't read it, but I did watch a bunch of like summaries of plots and stuff. I was quite interested to see that, like, so obviously I've already said they don't have a thing. They don't have the rights to the Silmarillion. They only have the rights to Lord of the Rings. Based on the Lord of the Rings is what comes up in the titles because of the rights issues and stuff. And so they're like, I'm fully aware that this sounds really stupid, but I'm fully aware that they exist in the same world, meaning in the Lord of the Rings there are references to things that happened in the Silmarillion, right? But I'm quite shocked at how they kind of have looked at that, but clearly looked at that book, clearly read through it, clearly written the same general gist of a plot of the exact same thing with even some similar characters and all that kind of stuff, doing similar things, except they've basically gone, okay, well, how can we do it like really quickly and way more efficiently? And so they've like cut out bygone characters that turn up for a second, do nothing, die or disappear or do something outrageous just to further the plot. And then they've like blended them with people we know and people we care about so that they actually have a driving force, which I thought was really interesting, because it's like, I'm actually shocked that they even bothered. Like, why even bother? You know, no one, you know that like 5 people have read it out of your entire viewer base. Like, what do you benefit from? But I guess, I don't know. So that was interesting to see. And so I kind of, not in a spoilery way, but I have a general gist of like, I can guess where some things are going now. Again, because they're switching out characters and stuff, I can't guarantee any of my predictions will be true. But, you know, I can generally see where the trend of this is going. The problem I'm finding now, and it's the same with the Harfoots basically doing nothing this episode, is that it's just really fucking slow at getting to the next part. So like, I feel like, you know, not to maybe we're crossing over into spoilers and we're not like a spoilery like fan theory kind of fucking podcast here, but like, you go from like last episode, the people of Numenor are like debating what they're going to do and all that kind of stuff, and then this episode they're like still debating what they're going to do. And then they finally make a decision at the end of the episode. And it's like, why did we just watch 2 episodes of the same thing when no new beats happened. And there's even a bit where like after all this fucking deliberation, all this shit, they finally make a decision. And then the one character who has been like the driving force of, this is the reason why you should do it, because I wanted to do this back in the day when I could, and now I can't because I'm old and in a tower or something. They go and speak to him and he's like, oh no, I'm not interested in going. You should probably not go. And it's like, you're the fucking one person. Like they've just spent 2 episodes making this decision, and now you're telling them it's wrong. Like, oh my God. So that's been kind of a frustrating thing to deal with. And it's happened across everyone's story. In fact, the only person it hasn't happened with is the person who we were saying was the most boring previous to this. And that is the elf guy and the town in the thing. Elfman. And so suddenly that's like, there's actual shit happening with them. And I don't want to say I'm more interested in it, but it's like there's like politics and interesting things happening. Although he's kind of even been reduced further than he was in the first few episodes to like a nothingy character just there to serve. But
yeah,
not sure.
Yeah, that is a weird one, that plot line, because I do agree, especially with this last episode, enough happens in terms of the shifting of that story status quo with the villagers and all that. And I can't remember the guy's name, the leader of the orc people, who I quite like that guy's performance.
The elf guy who they all call father. He's like Adar or something. Elf for father.
He's like an orcish elf if you grafted orc onto him or something.
Yeah.
I think he's kind of like, he veers towards like generic mysterious villain, but I think the performance gives enough to it where it's like genuine enough that I'm like, okay, I can watch this guy. And yeah, that final scene with him and the villagers and that whole interaction, I was quite on board with. But yeah, I 100% agree that it's only reduced that main good guy elf character even more, where there is like so little to him. He has just been a complete like on rails passenger for the whole thing, to the point where he is just like a mouthpiece in the end of episode 4, where he's like, I've come to say. He's just let go, like great hero. Like he just kicked out by the orcs and gone, go and say this to them. Didn't fight his way out or anything. Didn't nobly sacrifice them. No.
Yeah, he just went and did it. And then he has a pretty good, like, inspiring speech, which kind of throws, it throws plot at, like, again, it's that thing of like we said it with the very first episode, the kid who could go either way. He could be good or he could be bad. Like, we're getting more of that. It's like we're just affirming that is what we're supposed to be feeling, that he's like teetering on the edge of being a dick. And we get there's a little bit of meat on the bone with the elf guy when he kind of spins this motivational speech out of the stuff that he's seen and stuff and what he thinks is coming. But that's like the only part. Like, he is just stoic hero character who is there to just rally the troops and not really do anything, which I continue to struggle with. Who else we even got? We got the very strange future king guy, who just kind of, again, just embodies just indecisiveness, and not in like a dramatic way, in like he just seemingly has no reason to do any of what he's doing.
Yeah, it's all super meandering. Everything that happens in Numenor, as you say.
Numenor.
It is just so much, just like wasting time, it feels like. And it's a thing that like builds on itself. It compounds into more and more frustration with the show, in that each of these episodes, not much happens in. And then because so little happens in these episodes and nothing's moving, I'm struggling to imagine what the actual season is meant to look like. Like, what am I imagining is the case come the finale of season 1? What is it all building towards? Is it Galadriel fighting this elf orc guy? Is that what it's meant to be? Or Like there's no set antagonist, because obviously we know that Sauron isn't going to be a thing. Like maybe it is. Maybe they will just pull him out and they'll throw him in for. He'll be their Darth Vader, where he shows up for 5 minutes and they fight and he disappears again until the end of next season.
I mean, I'm fully expecting it to just fizzle out. Like at this point, so little has happened, and we're now past the halfway point.
Yeah,
it's just it's hard for me to see that there's going to be any kind of conclusion to anything. I think it is just going to fizzle out. It's going to be the same, unless they're doing a Game of Thrones where, like, the point in the season is to build up to one episode, and like by next season we'll be in a completely, like, almost a completely different place with completely new characters. Even if it's the same people, it's like completely new personalities or new life things have changed with them. Like, unless everything that has been set up is delivered on in the last episode, I just don't see them delivering on any of it. It could go either direction, and I just, again, no picture of how this whole series is going to be.
I mean, it's definitely a case of like not all the storylines aren't converging in this season. There's like no way that would make sense, and it isn't what they've built towards. But I guess the exception would be the Harfoots one. Of that story is they end up making it to whatever place it is they're migrating to, and you discover who it is the stranger dude is and who those people are that were chasing him. Yeah, who I completely forgot about that scene until I just started speaking the second the weird people that are all white or whatever. But again, like, how are they being introduced in episode 5 of a season of 8 episodes?
Yeah, with still no relevance, still no implied relevance to what we've seen. Yeah. I don't know, man. And also because they were in quite a lot of the like promo stuff as well. I seem to remember them being like because they're quite visually arresting with their like white hair and like bright eyes and all that kind of stuff. I think they got used in the marketing quite a bit. I don't know. One thing I am swept by, and even then he's a bit hit and miss, but I really like Isildur. I like his dad. I think he's a fun character. The captain guy of Numenor. Oh, and he speaks like this really low for no reason. He's like proper like, I don't know, he's just very like Englishy actor. I quite like that. Yeah. I don't know whether he actually is English or anything. He just does a very convincing English, whatever it is.
I cannot for the life of me remember that character's name every time I try. In episode 3 to 5, I think it's Ellen Dale. I'm not sure, but yeah, every time he's been on screen, he is one guy who's like, this is just a cool dude. This character, he's not boring. He's not just stoic or whatever. He's got a bit of charm to him. He seems like he's got his head on straight. So yeah, I'm looking forward to him being in it more. I'll be sad when he gets killed, whenever that happens.
Inevitably, episode 7 or something. And Isildur is going to have to learn something big, even though we know that Isildur will end up being a cunt either way. So, cool. I mean, again, we're too far gone. I'm not like not enjoying it. There's a lot to like still, but there's still a lot to like, or not a lot happening as well.
Yeah. I'd just say the main problem is that I feel like I'm in the exact same place as I was when the first 2 episodes came out, in that I'm mainly watching for the visuals and score, which are both still really, really strong and great. But I'm waiting for the story and characters to start gripping me. And the fact that we're well over halfway through the season now and I'm still feeling that, it's not a great feeling.
Yeah. Okay, well, spoiler alert for our opinions, I'd imagine. We haven't spoken about this at all, but similar is happening with Andor for me. It's been a long time coming, it feels like. And so what we are now, we're on 4 episodes. 3 episodes dropped in the first day. And then it's been 1 week since, and now we're on the episode 4, which we kind of in an unplanned way, this is much better time to be talking about the strengths and weaknesses of Andor, because the first 3 episodes are basically one episode. And nothing really happens in them. Like, it's all pre-set up. The story doesn't start until the end of episode 3. So that's pretty huge. Though I'll start with the things I really liked and what my big stuff here. And these are my clickbait headlines, right? I feel like, holy shit, we finally got like Star Wars back. Like actual Star Wars has come back for, reared its head after all the shit, basically everything since episode 9, right? Including episode 9. We lost Star Wars to like Marvel on accident. And that was very sad and everyone cried. And then now I feel like Star Wars is back. And maybe that's just because this is like, you can really tell this show was made. I don't know, how do I put this? It was like made. It wasn't like manufactured as much as like Obi-Wan. Oh, we need all the biggest cast members to appear and just do nothing on screen just because they're big cast members. Oh, we need Darth Vader to come in and do whatever. Same with episode 9, where it's like, oh, okay, well, we're gonna pump out this sausage of just everything that everyone wants, and that's it. Whereas this feels like it was made, and it it's there, and it's got like actual charm to loads of the shit it does. It's got like actual style to loads of the shit it does. We talked very, very briefly, like a single line message to one another. First 10 minutes of the first episode, and you're already treated to like what feels like a surprise in Star Wars now, where it's like just not easy. Not everything isn't like exactly as you're going to think it's going to be or anything like that. And that's like a nice little introduction. So let's start there, perhaps. So you've sat down on your couch, you've booted up Disney Plus, so close to canceling your subscription, and then this comes out. What are you thinking as you're watching Andor?
Yeah, so with those first 10 minutes, it was nice to have a very kind of grounded, quite clearly well-made, well-produced, lots of thought put into all the actual filmmaking elements, the set, the camera work, all of that. And then you have just these nice little sprinkling bits of dialogue with Cassian asking after his sister and the CD club and the two dickhead officers and all that. And it all kind of comes together in that interaction where he has to deal with the two of them, and then what goes on there and his reaction to it and his kind of hesitation before he moves on with it. And that is just a little 10-minute piece to introduce you to this character, your protagonist. It feels so fucking stupid saying this, but like, thank you for giving me those 10 minutes to introduce to me your character and give him a bit of personality to him and show him to be this flawed guy who isn't perfect and reacts the way he does. Like, thank you for just giving me something to grab onto there. I was really dug that opening for the first episode. I think they did a fantastic job there. It's the problem is with the rest of it that you were talking about those first 3 episodes are basically one episode. I do agree, and it does kind of meander in a way because it is just getting to the end so the show proper can start, in that they need a reason for him to get to where episode 4 puts him and what happens beyond that.
Yeah. It's just, and also it's not very interestingly done either. It's like it starts by subverting what you thought you were going to get, and then it just delivers you, that classic sausage meat Star Wars storytelling of like, oh, well, we'll throw it in a flashback. I don't know, that we'll have just a load of characters just outwardly state what they are thinking at any given moment. And it's like everything spicy goes, and then it kind of now end of episode 4, I'm feeling it again. I'm feeling an incline again. And not just in terms of plot, but in like something I've said forever with Star Wars is like the shit we haven't seen on screen is way more interesting for us to be seeing on screen than the shit we have. Like doing what we've seen again, and not just in like a, like not in like a pretentious filmy way of like, oh, give us what we don't expect. I mean literally like periphery shit that we just like we've nearly seen but we've not, like, oh, Angle in Attack of the Clones, we're chasing this fucking bounty hunter. Just angle right a bit more and there's an alleyway next to what's happening there. What's happening in that alleyway? There's some like interesting shit of like seedy underbelly shit and like rough around the edges stuff. Like, okay, well, you know, you've got the Empire and the Rebels. They're having this fight. Cool. What does that mean for like, you know, I'm going to literally pull an example from the episode here, but like, what does that mean for an Imperial officer's mum in, you know, her apartment downstairs on Coruscant or whatever? Like, it's all stuff that like Disney, I never thought would do, because I thought they only care about the like big sexy stuff that's going to sell merch and all that kind of stuff. So like your episode 9 is your absolute quintessential, you know, they're at the Death Star, there's Star Destroyers, standard Star Destroyers from the original trilogy coming back and all that kind of shit.
It's checkbox content where they need to hit all these different elements that they know they can market.
Yeah. Whereas here we're introduced to, again, it's like Han Solo. Did he shoot first? I don't know. Now Disney and George Lucas insist he didn't, because that would make him a douchebag. No, Cassian shoots first and he doesn't give a fuck that he shoots first until he does give a fuck. And then he makes an even worse decision immediately after, right? Like we're given shit that we're not used to in Star Wars. And again, periphery shit of like, we're just in some random bar on some random system with a bunch of people we've never met before. And we're learning about all sorts here. We're learning about, okay, what do the you know, I'll kind of reduce the whole thing of like, you got the Imperials and then you've got the like corporate stuff and the like, you know, there's like two separate things, but we're basically seeing two like Imperial security guards, what they do on their day off or whatever, or on their evening off the shift, is that's the first 10 minutes. And then you've got like countless bits of like stuff, you know, cropping up, but stuff, you know, cropping up in a really like interesting way and not like just assaulting you in the face all the time. You got like, here's a perfect example. The only woman in Star Wars turns up in episode 4. Huge. Oh my God. The only woman other than Princess Leia turns up, and she's just kind of like just a random nondescript senator, just kind of popping around a museum for a bit, having a little dialogue. And then they kind of go into the like, oh, we're going to have a secret discussion. And then we learn how they hide and like how she's got a new driver and stuff, and what that might mean, what that implies to everyone who knows. Like, this is, Star Wars is fucking huge, and we've only ever seen like one person's lens of it for ages. And I'm just so glad we're kind of like venturing out of that shit and seeing like, again, I don't think it's inherently more interesting. I just think it's like more nuanced and adult, you know, it's less kind of good guy, bad guy shit. It's like, I don't know. And again, Solo was supposed to be that, and then they fucked it even more. And now we're kind of in a place where I feel like Andor is actually doing what I wanted them to do for ages. And it's doing it in a way that pleasantly surprises me. Just a shame it took 3 episodes of boring nothing and terrible flashbacks just to get there.
I mean, it is wild. I completely agree with you in terms of it like showing us these little corners of Star Wars that we've never seen before. I'm stunned that this episode 4, they introduced this like bureaucratic empire shit with all these different officers, where there's the woman who's she's arguing with some guy over the stolen Imperial tech being over part of her jurisdiction. You have the main guy who's played by, I forgot the actor's name. His name is, I think it's Anton Lesser, I think it is, the main guy who like takes charge of that meeting and basically just like tells everyone their shit. Everything like that. She has like go and report the other guy to him, and they have a discussion about that. Like, how the hell is this bureaucracy, like stupid corporate politics thing in this Star Wars show really, really good? And it's got really good performances behind it, and it's got like really strong actors and dialogue.
And like smart dialogue at times as well. Like the bit, there's a really good bit in that scene where they're doing the bureaucracy nonsense, where she says like she's trying to show them all up by like reciting the fucking thing, and they play it like it's exposition dump, and then the guy's like, "Nah, go fuck yourself. That's not what I'm talking about. Shut up, bitch." And then sit down. Like. And it's like, how do they do this? Like, why is this? But also, why is it taking them this long to figure out that this is like the perfect world to do it in? I'm not sure.
I know. It's wild. It really is. Like, you were mentioning how this is what Solo was trying to do. And that was 100% what I was thinking when watching it. It is the presentation of Rogue One taking what Solo was trying to do in terms of showing a few extra parts of this galaxy that we've never seen before. Except Solo only half did that, because then they reshot the entire movie, so it was stuff and it was just how like Lando Calrissian got his fucking yellow jumper or whatever the actual movie included.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is just so nice seeing all these little corners of the galaxy. It is funny, you and I've seen other people say this as well, how it like feels like Star Wars. I was enjoying it for how much it didn't feel like Star Wars to me, because I've now forgotten what Star Wars is. Like Mandalorian, I enjoyed like most of Mandalorian, or like the first season, all that. That still feels like Star Wars to me. But watching this with these like really high caliber actors coming in and having these scenes where it's just them talking and it's still quite entertaining, it made me think that like, I'm watching the highest budget BBC One drama of all time. But then a fucking TIE fighter swoops in from the horizon. I'm like, oh my fucking God, this is Star Wars. Yeah. It's just so weird watching this. And yeah, it's not perfect, because like we say, it's very monotonous, those opening 3 episodes. And it's like very clearly just like grinding away, taking us to the point it needs to get us to. But it really is wild seeing something with the Star Wars title card going in before it, that is followed by this. Like, this is the television we're being presented with, and it is good.
I think I'm almost glad you say, "Wow, I'm stunned this is Star Wars," or like you don't recognize it as Star Wars, because again, like this comes from, I'm a bit of a geek was a bit of a geek when it came to Star Wars before they started bending me over and fucking me violently. There were all these great games, there were all these great comics and books, and like, no one reads the comics, but like the games and the sexy appeal of that. So like, I don't know, the Old Republic MMO and like Knights of the Old Republic and stuff, there's just seedy shit is happening everywhere, and this happens because you're you're inhabiting the world. You literally, like, if they didn't have all this shit happening, it would be like just an empty street. So someone had to think about it to come up with this stuff already in that case. And then when I'm playing the games, I'm like, wow, okay, well, this suddenly is much more interesting to me. And then it's like the screenwriters now are just now picking up on the fact that that's actually quite interesting. So it's like, yeah, it's unrecognizably Star Wars because you have to have like consumed some periphery content for it to feel like Star Wars. But I'm hoping that it's like, as you just said, I'm hoping it's just selling you. You know what I mean? It's like you're buying into it just as much as I did when I encountered it. So my favorite thing, and this is just complete boringness, and we get like a flash of it or something in the original movies, and this especially in the prequels. But like, I don't know, there's a tram system on Coruscant that takes the Jedi back and forth and stuff. That's cool, whatever. That it's flashed up for a second because they're just having a chat on it. It's like a thing that happens. Whereas in this, it's like we are introduced, perhaps for the first time in all of Star Wars cinema and TV history, to just a fucking airport, like a space airport is just on screen for a little bit, and we have a little wander through, and we hear a little announcement of like, okay, well, this ship's arriving here. We see a ship arrive. We see how it docks. And again, it's like, I know that this sounds like dumb and boring, but this is like world building for a much more interesting side of a world that we've seen way too much of everything else in. Like, all these little details excite me because they remind me of the things that, the stories we could be telling but aren't yet. And I'm glad we're finally telling one. I do want to talk. So there was some controversy about the laziness of using AK-47s as the weapons in episode 4 for the rebels. We've had a little chat about this, I think, on one of the other episodes, on how it's like very fundamentally Star Wars to be reusing props from other movies and stuff. Did it take you out of the immersion when there was a man holding an AK-47 out in the woods in this episode?
It did, but only because we've talked about it. Only because I fucking knew that people were complaining about it and everything. I mean, like, does it look like a real life gun? Yes. Do other Star Wars things look like real life things? Yes. Do I get annoyed when in Star Wars, which is set in a galaxy far, far away a long time ago, when they use terms like months and years and shit like that? Because then my brain starts going completely haywire, going, what does that mean? Whose years? Whose months? There are 1,000 different planets we're talking about here. What standardized time measurement is this? Like, you could just go on with this kind of bullshit. And I have to, like, pull myself back from thinking like that, because I'm aware it's fucking irrelevant, because it's storytelling at the end of the day. You want the story and the characters to be the thing you care about, not the fact that this guy's gun looks a bit like something the Soviet Union used 60 years ago.
Yeah. Thank you. Just thought we'd get that one off our chests, rip that bandage off. I'm glad. So I have another point, just purely out of question, because I recognized him, couldn't figure it out, haven't bothered to Google it. I want to pick your brains on it. So the Imperial officer who comes and whoops ass, lays down the law on the dickheads who ended up sending a bunch of people to their deaths. He is a comedian, right?
Is he? The one that the woman goes to talk to near the end of the episode.
And he's like, stop climbing your ladder. You should think about what you're doing before you do it. You know,
that guy.
Yeah.
He was familiar to me, but I couldn't. I had a quick look on IMDb and I couldn't find his name in the cast for this episode, so I couldn't find who he is.
Yeah, see, me neither. I think he's a comedian. Worse, I think he is an influencer comedian.
Oh no.
I may be completely making this up and I may be looking like a right cunt here, but because he's good in this, I think, or he's okay in this. He's not as good as some of the other people, but he's very, like, the performances are good. So, like, regardless of me saying he's a comedian or he's an influencer comedian, like, he is, you know, it doesn't affect the fact that his performance is all right. I now have no idea who the fuck he is, and I'm really trying to figure out.
I just had a vision of him. He plays someone's boyfriend in something I've seen.
Oh, maybe he does.
That's not very helpful.
Maybe he does.
Fuck's sake. This is bad. I'm going to wake up
I am
morning.
Very happy to just keep looking this up. Doc Brown. Comedian, rapper, screenwriter, songwriter, voiceover artist, English actor.
Oh, I know what he's fucking in. Don't tell. He is in the David Brent movie. That's what he's in.
Is he?
Find that on IMDb. David Brent movie where he goes.
Fucking hell, he's been. Yeah, he is in David Brent. Yeah, you're right. He's in fucking loads. I feel bad now. Okay, no, but he's in loads as a comedian. So he's in like Miranda, pops up in The Inbetweeners. You know. Okay, well that's interesting. I mean, that is a hell of a step, if you ask me.
Yeah, I mean, it is very funny how like 85% of the cast is just British actors. That again, maybe that was part of the BBC One vibe I was getting, where it's just like people you'd expect.
Well, not even British actors, just British people. Just British people turn up. Like, I really loved in. God, which episode was it? Maybe it was episode 2. It's one of the threesome of all the same episode. You have the guy, the rich guy from Hot Fuzz is just like some annoying dude on a tram.
Oh,
just
yeah.
About nothings, and then the next episode he's in it for 5 seconds as he walks off because he's on a different station or something. Like, and it's just like, you just bring these fucking British like just people and actors in just to do little bits. I like that.
Yeah,
I think it's charming. And again, it's like, this is Star Wars, man. Star Wars has so much opportunity for this. I don't know why it's taken this long. But I'm, going forward, hopefully, I mean, I say hopefully, it's almost impossible for stuff not to happen because of how much has been set up to happen from this episode onwards. We've got a ticking timer of we've got 3 days to get something ready. So, we, by nature of that, means something is going to go wrong at least twice in those 3 days. Plus, then you have the actual thing they're planning on the third day. All of this needs to happen in this series. So it looks like we're on a trajectory to like actually enjoy ourselves for the rest of the season. And I hope they just keep delivering on that. And I hope anyone who watches it and goes, oh, this isn't Star Wars, this isn't what I wanted, can get fucked and die before the next episode comes out so that I don't have to deal with your shit opinions.
I have to say, in this episode, the one hint towards like regular Star Wars where the kyber crystal was brought up, it like made me shudder. The idea that someone could use that to bring a lightsaber into the show, I was like, fuck. Please, no, don't do this to me. Don't scare me like that.
Well, I quite like that it's just kind of thrown off as like, you get this much if you sell it. But then he's not going to sell it because it's sentimental. Yeah. He's going to cook his own lightsaber out of it.
The dialogue behind this scene is fantastic. Like, it is so nice to just have two characters who are going to have their different storylines. I care about both of them. I can see the idea. I see the vision behind it. Where you have Cassian sort of discovering but there'll be more to life, and he'll be able to find, reason to live and to pursue the cause and stopping the Empire and all that. And then you have Stellan Skarsgård's character and him having his more like longer serving, jaded experience with this and going through all that. That scene in this episode at the beginning where it's Stellan Skarsgård selling the idea of fighting the Empire to him. Fucking like amazing. It's like one of the best scenes in all of Star Wars, where him selling the idea of like giving it all for one moment that's going to make a difference rather than having pieces taken away from you that leads to nothing. Like fucking amazing stuff. And again, they're both really good actors and they're being given this good stuff to work with. It's like such a fucking novel idea that you can use this great sci-fi property to tell a story like this. And it's one of those things where I'm choosing to enjoy it now instead of being pissed off it's taken us this long to get something like this.
Yeah. And also, I think I'm going to be a little bit biased against, like it could be trash by the end, and I'll still probably have fond memories of the funny, oh, look, there's a tram. Oh, look, that one's a green ship and it lands in the green section. And he takes an elevator. Oh my god! And just like the guy going to see his mum again. It's just, and he goes in the elevator, and we're like watching. Oh my god! I'm just thinking about like direct comparison with Obi-Wan and how like we've spotted so many like filmmaking flaws. There's maybe been like 2 ropey bits of sound that I've heard in the whole series so far that have like thrown me off. But like we're watching this guy who's just had everything, tried to overdo his job, get it blown in his face, and now he's losing everything. He has to move back in with his mum. And we're watching him go down an elevator. It gets darker and darker to the point where even the cinematographer has these like perfect little eye lights that he like masks as he goes into the shadow so that the light in his eyes goes out. He's like, so like everything about his life is boring now and dark. Like it's fucking like it's basic storytelling visually, and yet they're finally doing it again with Star Wars, and suddenly it feels like it's like brand new, revolutionary. There's so much meaning in this. There's not. There's like default values of meaning. It's just the first time we've seen them fucking bother. Oh my god. So yeah. Oh, it is nice to have them like actually outside as well. And like clearly production is like facing outside and like You hear it in the sound, you see it in the visuals. And also the performances, like they're moving, they're climbing, they're shouting to one another as they're walking across these enormous fields because they need to, or otherwise they're not going to hear each other. You just don't get that in the like volume stuff. You just have like perfect sound wherever they go. And like, sorry, poor sound guy who has to deal with that in post, but like so much better.
But yeah, that is like the essence of Star Wars, like filming in Tunisia and shit going wrong all the time. That is what Star Wars is built off. You see those videos where they're making episode 1 and like all the set and all the stuff they had built for all the pod races has been fucking destroyed overnight by some wind or some storm or whatever that hit them. Like, unfortunately, you don't get that when you're in a pristine studio that's able to keep the exact same golden hour for 14 hours straight.
Yeah, which is why it's always sunset and always Tatooine in every single recent Star Wars show. Yeah. So I feel like we're on track. We're on track.
Yeah. I am happy. I am happy we've had episode 4 to watch before talking, because I feel like I've seen the reaction to Andor in general and it's been very positive. And yeah, I wasn't quite there with those first 3 episodes. I mean, Stellan Skarsgård has done a lot for me in terms of bringing my feeling up on the show and his character's introduction. But yeah, this episode in particular is really great in just kind of like seeing what the show is going to be now. And I can get behind. Do you know how many episodes are in this season, by the way?
How many?
There are 12, Charlie.
Oh, wow.
12. No 6 episode, we're here and fucked it and nothing happens, but still it feels slow.
Yeah.
It's just... We're here for a good while, and we have a whole second season coming as well, because they had to say we're going to do another one quick so they could produce it on the cheap rather than wait and have to pay more to do it later on.
Yeah.
So we're going to get 24 fucking episodes of this good shit, and
it's banging.
That makes me happy.
Well, and also if there's 12 episodes this season, that means there's 9 episodes this season, because the first 3 are 1 episode.
Yeah.
So we get standard, they're actually making a standard TV show, and they may do it competently. This is huge. Disney Plus has just become worth the subscription fee all of a sudden. Oh my goodness.
This is the show that gets us to go to Star Wars Celebration next year.
Jesus. Can you imagine? I do want to, like, just a couple of things. So Stellan Skarsgård's character, he was cool, and now he's good, like a good character. There's so much depth there. There's so much interesting shit happening with that. Even like his Joker moment where he's getting ready in the mirror.
And
he
amazing.
blatantly changes hairstyle, not just in terms of like puts a fake wig on, but like actually changes hairstyle, like clearly different year that they filmed it or whatever. Like everything about him is really interesting. Meanwhile, like Cassian is still like kind of blank canvasy for me. Just because like all the stuff in his flashbacks is so boring that I don't want it to come to fruition any further. I want him to be his own thing. The
flashbacks were actively fighting me wanting to like him, especially again with those first 10 minutes and that kind of like conflict you see in him with that kind of nervousness with him, and he makes that decision to pull the trigger, and it just shows you so much about he is such an unrefined, not quite sure what he's up to guy. And I have the hope that they could be able to draw that out and have his arc and have him resolve that a bit and choose a path. Well, we know the path he chooses because fucking Rogue One. That first scene is obviously meant to parallel his introduction there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is the one thing maybe of this last episode, because it's introducing so many other elements of the show and storylines. You weren't given much to grab onto him as a guy yet. So I'm hoping that's what this next episode will be.
Yeah, it does feel like because there was none of the flashback stuff appeared in this episode at all.
Yeah,
none of it. Not even Harry Potter's mum, fake mum, foster mum, whatever her name is, her character's name is, or like the droid, the funky droid. That like there's none of it is happening. It's just like now, here and now. And that's what's really interesting. So I hope that they don't shoehorn, or I hope that I don't even know, because I don't want them to like completely ignore everything they've done, but it would be preferable to them like shoehorning some big dumb reveal about like the sister or something, or like shoehorning something that we were supposed to see in the background of one of the 3 episodes worth of content. Like, I don't know. We'll see, I suppose. So quiet optimism, continued optimism, perhaps. I would, dare I say, we sat down and saw the trailer and we were like, damn, that actually looks good. I would say that as of episode 4, perhaps not before episode 4, but as of episode 4, I think it has met the expectations the marketing set for itself, in my opinion. What do you think?
Yeah, I'd agree. I say it surpassed my expectation for the show, because I thought it would just be, I thought it would be bearable to watch in terms of the production and whatever like that. But yeah, it is kind of going beyond that in terms of having those visual storytelling moments. And again, these characters that I'm actually interested in, and just being in the side of the world we haven't properly seen. The fact that it's that setting which we were hoping for, and it's filled with all that other stuff, means that I'm actually looking forward to watching this show week on week, which isn't where I thought I'd be. I thought I'd be sitting through it because it would be like acceptable Star Wars. Like the whore I am. I would just slap it up every week.
Yeah. Well, actually, in real terms, if we're going to go with acceptable Star Wars as a real term here, it's great Star Wars and it's okay television. So we're in a huge step forward. Anyway, I don't know when we will, obviously, given our uncertain announcement at the start of like, we're just going to do this when it's interesting. I don't know when we'll catch up again about Andor, whether it will be next week, whether it will be 2 weeks down the line, whether it will be when the series ends. I have no idea. But I'm looking forward to watching it, and I'm looking forward to catching up again about it, because it's like, it does actually seem like one of those shows you want to talk about with your friends, which again, none of the other stuff did. None of the other stuff, despite it deliberately being designed only for that purpose, it meant that no one cared. Yeah.
And the other thing is, I was going to be, just like regular snarky and be like, we'll talk about it again when they fuck it up and they throw in that modern Star Wars thing. Like, they make Darth Vader show up, they have a Jedi turn up, whatever. But from these episodes, I'm starting to feel that trust of they aren't going to do that with this. They aren't going to fuck it up and throw stupid Luke Skywalker in there for no reason and completely change the trajectory of the entire show.
Yeah.
I have faith that they are just going to stay the course and make the show what it should be.
Well, because the few people and things that they've pulled out of the bag so far have been like really understated, just like incidental things. They're not like pause the whole show for them. So like Mon Mothma coming up is like, cool. That's like, we know where they're going to be in the Rogue One story. We know where they're going to be in the original trilogy and stuff. And it's like, cool. And then you got like, I saw in a bunch of my Lego groups that I'm still in on Facebook, like people breaking down in the flashbacks, it's quite clearly set during the Clone Wars. And so they're like, it's like CIS kind of technology in that alien ship that they're all in and they meet in the flashbacks and all that kind of stuff. And it's like so understated that like only nerds are going to see it. And it's not like a and then Professor X rolls in and you have to guess which Professor X it is from which Marvel thing, and then you're going to Google it when you leave and then that's going to make you whatever. It's like, it is just in the background. It's literally like, oh, that's cool for whoever sees it. It's like, it's what Easter eggs used to be when they were Easter eggs and not the whole movie.
Yeah, before they got bastardized.
Yeah. So, well, I'm looking forward to catching up again about that. And is there anything else on the release schedule that we should be taking a particular interest in?
No, I mean, I joked, but I think Black Adam is the next big movie, unfortunately.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll make it up with a, I don't know, classics episode where we watch some like silent films or something. See how boomer attention span works.
we should go lean into the Avatar and just go back in time and to that period of our lives and review Michael Bay's Transformers.
Yes. No, see, this is actually a fucking great idea because this is where the idea of the podcast came from. We were going to do that.
This is where the fun begins.
So we should absolutely do that. But does that mean we have to watch more than one Transformers or just Transformers?
No, I'm not watching more than that first one. I refuse to watch any other. Do you remember when you tried to get me to watch the third one back at uni and I just flat out refused?
That's terrible. That one's terrible. Why did I try? Was that just because I had bought it on Blu-ray or something?
Yeah.
On accident?
You had the Blu-ray and you're like, we have to watch it now. And I said, no, I don't think we do.
Correct. Glad we didn't. Would maybe not be here to tell the tale if we did. Anyway, well, thanks for joining us. This has been a fun one. It's like shorter than some of the other episodes, but I feel like we've had some actual joy for the first time in this podcast, and some joy, some tears. Yeah. So yeah, thanks for joining me. Thanks for joining us. But yeah. Any final words?
It's nice to be looking forward to Star Wars again. It feels like forever.
Aww. We're the Star Wars podcast again, ladies and gentlemen.